Week 8 of NBA Sorare is right around the corner. It's about to start in about 4 hours. And in this video, I'm going to try to predict the top outperformers of their points cap heading into week number 8. So first, let me show you guys and review what I did last week in week number 7. I was able to predict 2 of the top 3 outperformers. Before I'll show you, let me show you how you get there. When you go to the live games or the past games, you scroll down and you can see the top players as far as how many fantasy points they had. But if you press here on Outperformers, it will show you the rankings of what players exceeded their points cap by the most points. So we can see that Joel Embiid exceeded his points cap by 61 points. Whoever played him, it was crazy. I didn't play him because I didn't even know if he was healthy. Who I did play is Cam Reddish and Darius Garland, which were second and third in the outperformers. And we also had Marcus Smart, Jeremy Grant, Bassey from the Spurs, D'Angelo Russell, a player I never heard of from the Thunder, Jordan Goodwin, and Aaron Wiggins. That was the top 10-ish outperformers. So in my lineups, I wasn't too high on the tournaments, but luckily I was in 3 tournaments, limited contender, limited champion, and rare contender. In all of my tournaments, I was able to be in the money in the places that gets me rewards. In the limited ones, I'm getting 2 tier 4 limited rewards, which is nice. In the rare one, I'm going to get a tier 5. It's a low tier, but hey, I'm just happy to keep the streak of the rewards going still every single week. I was able to play Cam Reddish in my limited contender lineup. Paul George was a hit or miss, and in the past week, I missed with him. I also missed with Dwight Powell. In my champion, I was able to play Garland, which was massive for me. The rest were solid. Ted Young did pretty good considering his points cap. But I was still a bit away from getting myself like a tier 2 or a tier 3. I wasn't too far. And in my rare contender, my Reddish and Tyus Jones were awesome plays. Boucher was great. But I totally missed out with Maxi Kleber and Şengün fouling out. So I was still getting a reward. I'm going to get a tier 5. But I wasn't able to land like a top tier player. So that's what I had in the previous week. And heading into week number 8, I'm going to refresh it because we're supposed to get the rewards anytime this next few hours. So let's see if I'm lucky enough to see it now. But heading into week number 8, I'm going to try to go over players I think can outperform this week. So I'm going to do it in 3 levels. I'm going to show you like top 1 or top 2 players, which is Paul George and De'Aaron Fox. Then I'm going to go into players that are more in the top 3 or top 4. I mean, tier 3 or tier 4 kind of players. More tier 3. And then the low players that are in like a salary cap, anything between 5 to 18, which is kind of like a tier 4 or 5 players. Okay. So heading into that, let's start with the top 2 players in the higher tier. I think even though I missed out with him last week with Paul George, I think Paul George and De'Aaron Fox has really, really good potential to outperform their points cap this week. The reason I like Paul George is for 2 main reasons. One of them, which is a very, very important note, if you are playing this week, you have to know the next thing I'm going to say. So regarding the schedule, there are 2 teams that are going to have 3 games in this week's slate. Those teams are the Clippers and the Spurs. They're going to play 3 times in the next few days. So they have more chances to get a higher score. The other thing that you have to know is that the Sixers and the Lakers are not playing at all. So we have 2 teams that are not playing at all, Lakers and Sixers, and 2 teams that are going to play 3 times in this week, which is the Clippers and the Kings. I'm sorry, the Clippers and the Spurs. And the top two players I'm going to recommend is Paul George. One reason is because he's playing for 3 times this week. And two of the Clippers games are against like a very, very bad defensive team. One of them is tonight against the Rockets. The other one is in a few days against the Pistons. And I just love those matchups. I mean, 3 games in a week, playing two of the worst defensive rating teams in the league. Paul George, without Kawhi, always has potential to go off. We've seen it several games when he had like a crazy outperforming game. There it is against the Rockets on November 1. He scored 81 fantasy points. I don't know if he's going to get to 80, but with him playing 3 times and 2 of the games are against the Rockets and the Pistons, I just can't give up on playing Paul George this week. So this would be my first recommendation. My second would be De'Aaron Fox. I know the Kings are playing the Nets and they're also playing the Spurs. Spurs is also a team that's one of the worst in defensive ratings. And I also know that De'Aaron Fox is the kind of guy that could give you like a 50 or 60 fantasy points. Just 2 games ago, he gave you 61 against the Lakers. I also see a 50-point performance against the Clippers. And with his points cap being at 38, I think he has the potential to kind of outperform his points cap by anything between 15 to 25 points. I think De'Aaron Fox is in the run for most improved player of the year. And I just really like the matchup against the Spurs. They're bad in defense and they play in high pace. They have plenty of rookies and young players. So I just love this matchup for De'Aaron Fox. And I love the way he's playing lately. So this would be my top 2 in the high tier. Now, going into the medium tier, like players which are kind of like in tier 3 players, I really like Christian Wood and Chris Boucher. Reason I like Chris Boucher is because Toronto is missing a lot of their players. So if I go to RotoWire, you can see Siakam is out, Gary Trent is out, Van Vliet is out, Precious Achiuwa is out. Now, Boucher is not starting. I see Koloko and Thaddeus Young. But with Toronto being out of Siakam and Precious, then Boucher has a lot of room to get some extra minutes. He showed it in his last couple of games. He had 33 and 40 points in his last 2 games in fantasy points. And back then, his points cap was 26. Now you're getting him at a discount. His points cap dropped to 23 because of the 10-game average. I guess 10 games ago, he gave good performance, so it made his points cap go even lower. So with his points cap at 23 and the lack of big players Toronto has, I really, really like this game, this matchup for Boucher. They're playing the Pistons tonight. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to play Boucher. I also really, really like Christian Wood. Christian Wood is the kind of guy that in any given night could just explode and give you like 30 points and 10 or more than 10 rebounds a game. He also hits threes, which is also a bonus of 1 point for each free a player scores. And I also like the matchup. I know the Mavs are going to play the Clippers, and then in a back-to-back game, they're going to play the Rockets, which is the all team of Christian Wood is X. And I think we have this revenge narrative in this game. Christian Wood going to want to come in a back-to-back game that they might want to rest Luka because it's going to be in back-to-back games. Maybe Luka, who usually play like 37 minutes a night, maybe they're going to want to play him like 30 minutes against the Rockets. And Christian Wood might have a little bit more room for upside. So I really like in the second tier, Boucher and Wood. Now heading into the last tier, these plays are kind of obvious. The players I like are Killian Hayes, Reggie Jackson, Malachi Flynn, and Luke Kennard to outperform their points cap. The reason I like them, let's start with Killian Hayes. I can show you his numbers and kind of let it speak for himself. His points cap is only at 10 points, and with Cade Cunningham being out, he gave you 30-point performance the last couple of games. It's a bit expensive now, but if you want to pay premium for an outperformer, Killian Hayes tonight against Toronto wouldn't be a bad move. I know the Pistons has another game this week. I think it's against the Clippers. So I think at least in one of those games, Killian Hayes could give you a good score. I also really like, I'm going to keep the Clippers for last. I also really like Malachi Flynn because Van Vliet is out, Gary Trent is out, and they're really going to need his shooting tonight. Last game, he played 22 minutes. And according to Underdog, I looked in Toronto Raptors projected lineup. It's going to be Malachi Flynn, Scotty Barnes, Anunoby, Otto Porter, and Tad Young, which makes sense. He may come off the bench. It's just a projected lineup. But even if so, he played 22 minutes last game. And his points cap is so low. It's only 5 points. He can like triple or give you a 4, 5, 6x on his points cap. He had 19 against the Pacers, which is 4x. I could see a scenario when he gets you 25 to 30 fantasy points tonight, give or take. So that would be a great move. And my last two, Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard. The Clippers are playing the Rockets tonight, which is a great matchup. They're also playing, I think, the Pistons in a few days. I mentioned that with Paul George. And specifically tonight, because it's a back-to-back game. So regardless of Kawhi, also John Wall is going to be out, which gives players like Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard some more minutes and more room for opportunity. Especially Kennard is a beneficiary from that because they don't have a backup point guard. So Reggie Jackson is their main point guard. There is no backup point guard because Wall is out. And Kennard, when he was on the Pistons, he also played point guard for them. So what I can see that's going to happen tonight is when Jackson is going to rest, I can see a scenario when Luke Kennard plays the point. And I could see a scenario when both of them are playing between 28 to 30 minutes a game tonight. And their points cap, 18 and 14, they're both the kind of players when they're streaky shooters and when they go into a rhythm, they could easily get you over 30 fantasy points a game. Both with 3-pointers, assists, maybe a couple of steals. I just really like those plays. So to conclude my outperformers, I really like Paul George, De'Aaron Fox, Christian Wood, Chris Boucher, Killian Hayes, Reggie Jackson, Malachi Flynn, and Luke Kennard. Now, I'm going to show you which lineup I'm probably going to play tonight. It's not certain, but this is what I have going into the limited champion. I was able to land a Luka Doncic limited card tonight. I kind of got together with this guy. His name is LaMelo Ball Goat. I guess he likes LaMelo Ball. I was able to chat with him on Discord. Very nice guy. He's a friend from Spain. And we kind of worked out a deal when I really wanted to get Luka. His floor was like around $360. I had a couple of rares that spiked in their price, Christian Wood and Cam Reddish. I gave him those 2 rares. I gave him Benedict Mathurin, which I won a few weeks ago as a reward in one of the tournaments. And I also added like $136 with a couple of rares and Benedict, and he gave me a Luka. I paid multiple things for it, but considering that I got Luka, I think it was a good deal for both sides. Let me know what you think in the comments. So shout out to LaMelo Ball Goat for making this trade happening with me. After I was able to land a Luka, this is what I'm planning to play tonight. I like Luka Doncic with Haliburton, with Paul George, with Boucher and Fad Young. There is also one more option I still haven't decided, which only to switch two players. What if I'll play Luka, Paul George, sorry, not Halliburton, Luka, Paul George, Chris Boucher. I can add Kevin Huerter to the mix and Jordan Poole. And that would be another option for me to go ahead and play tonight. So it's either that or the other lineup I showed you guys. Still haven't decided which one, but it's definitely going to be one of those two options. So we'll see how it's going to go for week 8. It's going to start in exactly 4 hours. So I hope you got some value out of this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.